It's incredible to think where this future's going. You know, the services we get paid on, the dominant services weren't even the ones that we joined to get involved in, to get paid on. You know, I remember when paging was a pretty cool thing. You know, long distance only, 2 bills. Who's my Pioneers of Australia? Remember the 2 bills? And yeah, that was all tough. I tell you what, to be here today and have what we've been delivered is absolutely amazing. The thing is, are we going to have the skills and abilities to get it in place? Are we going to do what it takes, process and system-wise, to get the right people involved and get them moving quickly? Now, here's what we find. People that get on the right course early in ACN often continue on that right course, but we have to get them in the right direction, and that's what's called a launch process. That's getting people up and running quickly and correctly within the ACN business. So we're going to walk through what it takes to get somebody launched into the business. Now, can we agree that to launch your business is a lot better than limping into your business, okay, right? Or opening the doors on your business. So we want to have a big launch. We want to get people engaged in the process very quickly within ACN. So the goal of a launch is to move a new IBO into immediate and massive action. We want to get them into action early and keep them moving forward and duplicate that process within their group. You see, just like we talked about yesterday, it's monkey see, monkey do, not monkey be told, monkey do. So what we want to do is make sure that we get this person up and running, and then the rest of their career, they're going to believe that that's the way things are done, right? They're going to believe that that's the way people get started. It's funny because when people talk to me, you know, about where they're at in their ACN business, you know, it's hard to relate sometimes to people who don't get up and running correctly, right, and have a lot of success when we had success right out of the gate in ACN, and people that I know have had a lot of success. So once you set that standard, it's easy to duplicate going forward. And if you're not there yet, then you got to make the adjustments to do that. So the result of a launch, what is a launch? A lot of people treat a launch like an explanation process or a training process. A launch is not a training. A launch is an action-based activity. It's meant to move the business forward for that new person. So the goal of a launch is that IBO has to be qualified to make money. First and foremost, a person has to leave the launch prepared to make money and in a position to make money. I'm going to talk about how to do that. Number 2, a person in the launch has to have their first home meeting set up. I like to set up back-to-back ones so that people can roll over. If one day's busy, they can roll to the next one. However you need to do that, make sure that you're doing it, but make sure that it's on the books. It gets scheduled. So second goal of launching an IBO is have their home meeting set up. Number 3 is to make sure that they know how to invite properly, that they're trained. And you know what happens in ACN is what we have people that come in with no training. Can we agree that everybody that comes in has no training? But their excitement level is through the roof, right? Through the roof. Who's already enjoyed some ACN insomnia? Who had some ACN insomnia? You know, the one, right? It's in the medical dictionary, right? You can't sleep, you're writing down names. You're excited. But typically, when you start, you're also exceptionally incompetent, okay, right? So we need to work with somebody to get that training level up. And most of what we do in ACN is just moving people through the training process, upgrading their ability within ACN to the point where it matches that excitement. So we call it unconsciously incompetent, right? Unconsciously incompetent. They're bad, but they think they're doing okay when they talk to the first couple of people and do not follow a language that is attractive, right? And it's funny, who's ever sat with an IBO and told them exactly what to say and heard them say the direct opposite thing immediately after you told them what to say? Anybody? Yeah, hey, listen, I just got involved in this pyramid thing. There's this big white guy sitting with me. Bring your $500 over. I didn't say that, okay, right? So we want to make sure that we're training and practicing and role-playing a little bit before they make that first phone call, because we know that first phone call oftentimes freaks them out a little bit, okay? And number 4 is that the IBO knows how to plug in, okay? Now, I want to be clear about everything. This is not about babysitting. If you want babysitter wages, okay, follow babysitter activities. This is not about babysitting. Do we have a winning track to run on? Do we have a winning track to run on? Do we have a winning track to run on? We have a system where if you didn't have any sponsorship at all, we have online trainings, video trainings, local trainings, regional trainings, documents, support. Everything is in place for somebody to win, whether they had the direct support of anybody or not. So we need to have that system in place at all times. Strong local trainings, right? Areas that people have to be able to plug into. So make sure that they know what that is. What is the next local training, and where's that at? Now, the reason for the launch is very simple. When you launch correctly, you remove luck from the process. When you let a new IBO schedule a home meeting and depend upon the fact that they're going to fill it, it's complete blind dumb luck whether it's going to get done. But when you launch correctly, you make those first couple of phone calls. You hold them accountable to the phone calls. You do confirmation calls before the meeting. You start to remove luck as a process from the process of building ACN. Who would like to not depend upon luck to build a successful business? So correctly launching is an important part of that. So what you're going to do is teach this new IBO, this duplicatable system, this system that everybody can follow. You know, what's funny about McDonald's, okay, is that none of us, I think, would agree that we couldn't cook some better food than McDonald's can, or that we don't have better restaurants or more favorite restaurants than McDonald's. But the power of McDonald's is that if you started at McDonald's, the first thing you're going to do after you give them your $1 million is they're going to fly you to Hamburger University, where you're going to learn to be a culinary expert, right? No, you're going to learn a system that is going to allow you to fly back home and turn that whole process over to teenagers. Teenagers are going to run your $1 million business because of a system that's in place. So systems work. People don't fail, systems fail. So if we follow a system and let them know that there's a duplicatable process for them, they're going to have a lot of success. It also helps new people, when we launch correctly, move past the fear. Can we agree that there's some fear in picking the phone up? Who had fear when they first picked that phone up? Okay? It is a natural process. So when we're there with them, we can be the strength behind them in regards to that. So the requirements for a launch. What does a person need to do a launch? Well, you need about an hour to do an effective launch. And I suggest, listen, I think you got to be to integrity on time. I think you got to be into integrity. If we tell somebody an hour, stick to your hour. When you drag those launches out, you're just adding things that don't belong in that process. I'm telling you right now. So you need to stick to your integrity. When you have a weekly meeting, you need to stick to the time. Saturday training, stick to the time. When it's a launch, stick to the time. So whatever you feel comfortable with, I tell my team to launch in an hour, okay? If you need a little bit more time because you do a few more things, that's completely up to you. You need a computer, of course, with internet access. You need a launch document. Now, this launch document is your guideline of how to do the process. And you know what's so funny? I remember when I was learning to get my pilot's license, and we had this checklist every time that we got in the plane. It was pretty stupid, right? I mean, most of it. You look on this side of the wing, and then on this side of the wing, and you went to this side of the, and then you went around the plane, and I was kind of being a smart aleck one time after lesson after lesson after lesson, and I turned to my instructor. I said, well, you know, I really don't need this. Why can't I just do the inspection without the list? I know exactly what to do. He said, Mr. Rasmussen, the day that you do not follow this checklist is the day that you'll die in this airplane. Okay, I'll follow the list, right? I mean, geez, that goes for you too. If you're not following something to check off to make sure you're not leaving something to risk, are you risking their business and your success? You need to make sure you got a document that you're just checking off the boxes every single time. And you know what's kind of nice about having a launch document? You don't have to take responsibility for asking the person to do the thing you asked them to do. In other words, it's not your job. You can say, listen, this is what Mr. Brian Sachs does. This is what Mr. and Mrs. Eugene Piccinati says to do, and they're more successful than me, so why wouldn't I do that process, okay? So you can put the liability or the blame on your SVP, RVPs who've designed those documents for you. Items for the new IBO to bring: diary, telephone, contact list. Bring your bills. Bring your bills. We're in a business of customer acquisition. Every home meeting should yield customers coming out the back door. Is that right? Everybody that's leaving a home meeting should be leaving as an IBO or a customer of some form. So make sure that we always have our bills, even to the home meetings. We tell people to bring the bills with them to the home meeting. So let's talk about the launch process and that document there. Okay, so a couple of steps. Number one is to set the why, okay? Now, I do want to be clear. During the first launch process, I don't delve deep into the why, because remember, most likely, if you were at the training yesterday, this person's either a 70 or a 30%er. I don't know which one for sure, so right now they're just a lead source for me. So I'm not that concerned about, necessarily knowing that they're going to be here long term. I just need to get this process going, but it's also very important to get a why established. Why does this person need ACN to work for them? And establish that, write it down real quickly. So I quickly have them write it down in a single sentence: freeing my husband, having children, whatever that is. Number two, enroll and log into the back office. Make sure that they know how to log in. But I do want to be clear. enroll them as an IBO, log them into the back office does not mean take them through the trainings in the back office of how to order business cards, how to do all that stuff. That stuff's going to happen later. This is an action-based process. Show them how to sign up as an IBO, log them into the back office, and show them where they can watch those videos later. Set up their storefront, name their storefront, get that up right away, okay? Number 4, get their accreditation done so they can market energy accreditation or energy by the rules, okay? Can we agree everything needs to be followed by the rules? Is that right? Okay, let's be clear about one thing. Violation of these rules will lead to severe activities against the company here. We have to make sure that we're holding integrity to the rules, okay? So make sure that we follow these rules. Make sure that they go through the accreditation process and complete it and understand what can and cannot be said, right? We do not have guaranteed savings in Australia. We do not have that, okay? So make sure that we understand that language and follow that process. Register for upcoming events. Let them know what's in their area. Let them know about the weekly. Let them know about the Saturday. Let them know what the system is that they can plug into over the process of their ACN career. Okay? And if you have a team email list, make sure they're on the list. They want to be involved in the system. This is about indoctrinating people deeply into the process of ACN, being on a team email list where they can get updates and everything is absolutely imperative. Now, we're going to set an income goal. First thing to do is how much money do you want to make? Here's my language. You might want to write this down. Listen, new IBO, how much money in the next 30 days, if you made it, would make it a very good first 30 days for you in this business? What is that number? Okay? And let them give you that number and then show them how to make it in the compensation. Typically, it's a quick start bonus or a fraction of the quick start bonus. Usually they say typical answers 1, 2, and 3,000. Those are the types of answers I get. Okay? Even when somebody sat with me, I had somebody say, I want to make 10,000. I said, I can show you how to make 10,000. I don't know that you can do it, but let me show you exactly what that would look like. Quick start for 4,000, maximize the ETL, you got 7,000. If you can put 40 plus people in after you hit ETL, you could do the 10,000. So you can back engineer anything. You could even teach somebody technically how to be an SVP in 30 days. It's not gonna happen, but you could map it out how they could do it, right? So whatever their income goal is, show it for them. And let's be clear. We are in the making money business. Repeat after me. We are in the making money business. We're not in the saving money business as IBOs. I am not here to save that IBO money on their services. If there is a savings, that's great. We're in business. That means we make an investment into our business. We get the services and tools that we need for success in the business. If you're on a mobile phone contract, maybe you get another mobile phone as an ACN mobile phone. I'll cover that in just a second, but make sure we get this correct. This is a business and with serious income potential. I mean, could you imagine being the CEO of a multi-million dollar company from your second bedroom, in your shorts, from your laptop, okay? That is the income potential here. So this is a serious business. Explain the quick start bonus. Show them how it lays out. Show them how to hit that very, very quickly, right? And show that how that lays out for both ETT and ETL. And paint vision. Talk about dominating areas. Talking about controlling utility districts. Talking about imagine getting paid, right? Remember, people think in pictures. Talk in pictures. Imagine going into your favorite restaurant and knowing you're getting paid on the gas and electricity, that kind of stuff. So paint a vision for what's the future holds. Now, everybody has to get qualified to make money. We have what we call a leader's bundle. A leader's bundle is what we talk through people on about what they should get as the services to become qualified the first time. Getting somebody qualified to make money is our responsibility at the launch. So we want to make sure that we actually walk them through the process to get qualified. Now, sometimes they can get the services. Sometimes they have to add these services in addition to services they already have. So a suggested leader's bundle, okay, might be your business assistant, a digital phone service or digital video, a mobile phone, and an energy or mobile broadband. And you might even want to write them out like that. Like number 1 is energy or mobile broadband maybe, okay? And just write them out. And that way you can refer to these 4 services as the ones that leaders get. Now, when we go through a launch and we get to this process and we go, okay, let's get out your bills, let's get your services going, okay? And when we get to that process and we lay that out, let's get those services going. If they balk and say, well, I've already got a mobile phone and I'm not going to break my contract, what are we going to do? How can I make you the $3,000 that you want? How can I make you the $4,000, whatever that is, right? We are in the business to make money. Can we agree a $3,000 bonus, if you made it, will cover a lot of $33 mobile on a monthly basis, right? Okay? So make sure that you refer back to their income goal, get them back in touch with the reason why they're doing ACN. So run through the bundle and hold them accountable to this. Now, I want you to be clear about this. If you run this correctly, and this is something that I've recently introduced to my organization here in Australia, but that we're running in North America. And Wayne and Lori Luther, currently number 2 in North America for customer acquisition for ACN, actually ran a 96% qualification, even though they were some of the top producers in ACN. 96% for the previous month based upon doing this, making sure that everybody launches right correctly and gets their services within their first 30 days. Can we do this? Can we do this? Okay. Here to make money, not save money. We already talked about that. Recommend the Leaders Bundle, okay? 100% qualification at every launch. Make sure that we qualify everybody at the first because they can't make money. No money's generating. When this compensation plan is put together correctly, it is amazing. The amount of money that gets generated is huge. But when you have a breakdown in the process, do you realize there are people sitting right here who've lost bonuses of $1, $2, $3, $4, and I know for a fact a bonus of almost $12,000 to be specific on 1 or 2 customers. Is that an expensive customer? If you look at the compensation plan, when it's done correctly, the money flows like mad. When it breaks down, the money breaks down. We have to be systematic in how we run the process to generate as much money for our teams as possible. So, now, we got them the Leaders Bundle. What's the next step? Now it's time to make calls, okay? We always call the first 3 prospects to meet right away. We want to get to ETT before the home meeting so that they're in a TCAB position. Quick 3-way calls. You have various services to do that. You got sizzle calls, you got videos, you got 3-way calls, whatever those are. Use those tools in a system that you can follow. We use a lot of 3-way calls. We have a 3-way call script. When I do 3-way calls, I actually pull out the script. And I show the new person, I'm just reading. I don't want them to think that there's anything special about this. One day they'll read too, okay, and make the kind of money. So show them that there's a process in place and follow the system if you have one in place or create one. 2-on-1 meetings, schedule 2 home meetings so you got back-to-back. Make sure that they know about the weekly opportunity meetings. Now, listen, here's my philosophy. Okay, this is just me, but my philosophy is you do not build meetings in weekly meetings. That is the slowest, most painful way to build a business. You build meetings or success, home meeting to home meeting, coffee meeting to coffee meeting, rolling into the weekly. And when a weekly is growing, you know a lot of home meetings are happening. When a weekly meeting is not growing, there are not home meetings happening. And people are depending upon that weekly meeting. Now, can we agree probably the hardest place to get a person is to a home meeting? To a weekly meeting. Right? So that's the hardest place to get somebody. Easiest, quick coffee and quick over at a home meeting. So let's make sure that we're using the right processes and make sure we have the right tools. Having tools is essential. Listen, every single person that leaves a home meeting needs to leave with DVD and magazine in hand. DVD and magazine in hand every single time. 2 reasons. Number 1, it protects them what we call toast prevention. Toast prevention is somebody leaves excited and then does not come back the next day, right? Doesn't return the call. Who's had somebody very excited one day and not interested the next, okay? I already know what happened. Here's what happened. I actually was in their house that night when they went home. They came home. They talked to the spouse. They went, wah, 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 wah. I'm spending $495, wah, 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 wah. With no value, nobody's going to be interested. DVD and magazine allows you a little bit of protection from that. In addition, let me tell you about an easy follow-up call. Easy follow-up call on ACN. I need my DVD and magazine back. Right? You're not chasing anybody. I need my magazine back. I need my DVD as soon as I can get it together. So, and remember, you're cycling these. So this is an investment that you're going to recoup on. We have the tools here in the back. Is the Success from Home magazine amazing, amazing tool? Okay. Who's seen me run through the stories in the DVD and magazine, right? Okay, or in the magazine. There's those powerful stories. You've got somebody that resonates with somebody in the magazine for every single person. So make sure that we're using the tools that we have available. Can we do that? Can we do that? And we have some great pricing here for those tools. So let's make sure that we get that done. Now, let's be very clear. Launching is an action event. It is not a talking event. It's not a dreaming event. Okay? It's not an inspiring event. It's an action event. Qualification, meeting set, calls made. Okay? That's the way that launches take place. So no discussions. It also, when you do it correctly, helps overcome fear. And what is fear really anyways, right? False evidence appearing real. When we show strength to our team starts to have strength for themselves. Is that right? So we need to be strong for our team. We need to help them overcome those first phone calls. You know, I remember one of the organizations that I built here in Asia Pacific was through a cold market person I put in Adelaide. For 4 days, I couldn't get him to put me on the phone with anybody. And finally, he said, listen, I don't know anybody that's interested, but I got this guy named Carlos, okay? He's in Sydney. He's already heard about it, not interested. I said, if he's heard about it, hasn't heard from me, he hasn't heard about it. Let's get on the phone. We got on the phone with Carlos, got him started, led Taproot, got him down to Darren Lawrence. Darren Lawrence led the Texas, and that whole organization yesterday that you saw came through a call that he made. He only ever sponsored one person in his whole career, but we got through him by making that call. So we got to be able to make these phone calls, guys. Lack of vision, right? People lack vision. That's the only reason why they won't power forward. When somebody has a vision for what their life can look like into the future, they're willing to power forward in their organization. So we have to paint vision for what's possible, and very clearly we have to lead and not be led. There's a buy and a sell happening every single day of every single week between every human interaction. Is that right? Somebody's buying, somebody's selling. The question is when you're sitting there at the launch, are you selling or buying? Are you influencing or being influenced? And I think if you've struggled in the launch process, you're now realizing I'm getting influenced. I'm getting pushed around, right? I'm getting pushed around and I'm not following the process. I'm not leading, I'm being led. Are we leaders in this room? If we're leaders in this room, then what we need to do is make sure that we lead during that process. So let's talk about barriers to success in the launch process. And it really has to do with the roller coasters, right? And roller coasters can be fun, is that right, when the bar's down. But the bar has to be down. Sorry about that. So the bar has to be down. What we got to make sure is that we're providing a safety net for these IBOs. So when we get started, we agree that we're all sky high, right? We're sky high, we're over the roof, we're excited, out of control. Everything's going to be different for us from this day forward. Who felt that way the first time they saw ACN? Man, the first day I was so excited. I didn't know that I could make it all the way, but I tell you what, I began to dream again for the first time. I imagine what it would be like to get that first residual check, okay? I imagine what it would be like when the bills were covered by that bill. That would be amazing. The problem is I made a phone call and found out that not everybody was going to feel the same. Okay? Now, I thought everybody would do ACN. Didn't you really think everybody would do it? Who kind of really thought, like, who's stupid enough to not want to get paid on bills? I found him. First phone call. Okay, right? So here's what happened. And, you know, I have to say, the reason why I'm passionate about this process is because I would not be here today if not for the person that introduced me. He saved me 3 different times in my first 72 hours in the business. First time. I told you I approached my client. I recruited myself. Pretty good recruit, right? I recruited myself. This guy was a tax client of mine. Every year he came to do his taxes. He was dressed in shorts, gorgeous tan. I mean, he had the life that I wanted, time and money. You know, the one thing that happens when you do people's income tax returns is you find out that typically, as people's lives go up in the income scale, their lifestyle goes down the toilet, right? And when you see only a person once a year, you really get just a quick contrast of what they would look like, right? So some years a guy would come in a year later and be like, oh my God, you look horrible. Let's see that W-2. You must be making a lot of money, right? They're flying you around the world. You're working your tail off, right? So I saw these lives deteriorating. I didn't want that life for myself. This guy had a different life. So I invited him to show me what he was doing. He took out the ACN overview and I literally put my forehead on my desk and I said, you're in a pyramid. Who's heard that one? Okay. Now, here was his response. You're probably not going to be able to use this one, but here was his response. He points to the degrees behind my head, and he said, for being so educated, you're not very smart, are you? And I wasn't happy, okay, with that comment. I said, excuse me? He goes, how many times have you ever evaluated a business without knowing the facts about it? I said, none. He goes, so why did you just prejudge this? And I said, sorry. And he continued, okay? So we got to the end of the presentation. I got it, but here's my problem. I actually was starting tax season. And if you don't know, in America, we do 85% of our income in a 4-month period of time, and it's at the beginning of the year. Our year is at the beginning. So by Christmas time, if we haven't had a good year, things are tight, right? Things are bad. So I need to wait 5 months. So I said, hey, this is great. I get it. I understand it. I think this is going to be huge. I'm pretty excited about what could be possible here, but I need to wait until tax season's over. He said, if you thought this was about your time, you didn't pay attention, it's about your contacts. He says, could you put one meeting together? I said, yeah, I could do that. Now, when we're in tax season, we're cranking, right? Now, he came in, I introduced about 20-some people, of which he sponsored 6. The 6 he then began to sponsor through and added another 21 for a total of 27. I actually hit team coordinator on February 28th, right dead set in tax season. He actually called me to tell me that I hit team coordinator because I hadn't been working my back office yet. I said, listen, I've peeked through the window. All the checks are sitting by my computer. Now, if you don't know, as an accountant, sometimes I would literally sleep in the chair because we'd be so tired, I didn't want to go home for 3 hours sleep. I'd literally sleep in the chair, do the next day. I said, listen, the checks are here. I see they got commas. I'm happy. I go, but I need another 2.5 months. So our first period of time wasn't a lot, but I was blessed to have somebody that was driving my organization. He ran a process that he knew about. He wasn't worried about my time. He wasn't worried about my contacts, driving my organization. He was the full-timer. He had the big check. So he drove that organization. By the end of tax season, we got started again. Third time he saved me was the very next day, though, after I got started. So after I got started, I called one of my buddies, right? And I introduced him to it. He said, you didn't do one of those things, did you? I said, what things? He goes, you know those never work. I said, really? He goes, you didn't give them money, did you? I said, yeah, I gave him like $1,000. He goes, you lost that money, right? And he started just drilling me. And I almost couldn't breathe. Anybody get that first gut check when somebody really came after you? Man, I'm like trying to draw my breath in, right? And I called him and I said, listen, I've been thinking. Anybody hear that one? I've been thinking. He goes, you've been talking. Who did you talk to? I said, no one. I just been thinking. He goes, no, who did you talk to? He goes, I told you not to talk to anybody until we got a training in. I said, I called my buddy. He goes, and he said a few things. I said, yes. He said, come to the training. So I came to the training. Guy walks in, he's wearing shoes worth more than my wardrobe. Got a car worth more than my house. He starts telling people in the audience right at the training, this is what they're going to say. I'm in the back going, yeah, that's what they're going to say. I heard it already. Yeah, that's it, right? And I was just going exactly what he said. He said, buy their opinion, buy their lifestyle. I went, wow. My buddy drives a 1974 Datsun pickup with the door punched in. I don't want that car. So then I got a little postured again, right? I got a little postured again. So I was up and running again. Then I started getting some customers, and I struggled just a little bit with customers. Save some money, save some money, save some money. Find out that people weren't that interested in saving money on bills. So I struggled with my customer acquisition a little bit. Then I went back to the script. It didn't say anything about savings. It said, favor, help, try, give it a try. Then I started acquiring customers like mad with favor, help, try. People started referring their other properties. So I got my customers done right away. Plus I needed to because I was going into tax season. They gave me a little list with 40 lines on it to get my 40 customers because back in the day where there were no points, you just got the straight customers. So my excitement level went up, right? So it was up, down, up, down, up, down. Who's been on a little bit of an emotional roller coaster? Okay, mine was more of a gyroscope, right? It's just straight up, straight down, straight. Good news. Over time, that's going to level out, okay? It's going to be a level for you. But you have to go through the processes. You have to learn to manage your disappointments. Are we going to have good days in ACN? Are we going to have bad days in ACN? Are people going to join our team in ACN? Are people not going to join our team in ACN? It doesn't matter. Let it go. Remove the emotion and get a huge reason why. See, once you get the reason why, can we agree that we can overcome anything when the desire in us is great enough? Is that right? Okay. Who's my parents? I can't see you guys very well, but who's my parents in the room? Parents? Let me ask you a question. Parents, would you do anything for your kids? Somebody abducted your child. Would you lay down your life for your child? I mean, you would do anything to protect your children, but face your fear? To provide a better life for them, to address these concerns. Don't we all box ourselves up in this nice little tight box? I can't, it doesn't happen, right? We put ourselves in this tight little box, all in this little head of ours, right? Had a young lady in Perth once ask me, well, there's gotta be a catch. I said, there is a catch. You wanna know what it is? She goes, yeah, and I said, it's you. You're the catch. This right here, you're the catch. Will you follow a system put together by people who have what you want in life and then follow that to fruition no matter what somebody says about it? Can we agree when we know where we're going, we're unstoppable, right? When we know where we're going, we're unstoppable. We have to have a big vision for what can happen in this business. And you know what? You know what can happen in this business? Lives change forever. and think about the people whose lives can be impacted forever in this business. I want to tell you about a friend of mine. His name's Mr. Gary Brown. Gary Brown I met about 2 years ago, and I actually met him at an international conference. Part of my team at an international conference, somebody came up to me and said, hey, this guy drove in to the conference. And I thought, oh, okay, great. What, one of our IBOs from the East Coast, right? I go, no, from California. I said, so we flew in and rented a car. And I go, no, he drove in. I said, from where? They said, California. I said, California? Now, if you don't know, California to Charlotte is Perth to Sydney. That's a long ways, right? So I'm like, oh my gosh, you're joking me. I've never heard somebody drive that far. I said, you got to take me to him, please. And I want to meet this man. And I walked up, and he's a very big guy. I mean, 450, 500 pounds, okay? At this point, he was walking. Within the next couple of months, he would actually be in a chair because he couldn't walk. And I walked up to him, and I said, tell me your why. What is it? Why are you doing ACN? And he looks at me, and he kind of teared up, and he said, my wife worked 25 years in the banking industry, and she retired 4 years ago. And he goes, 6 months ago, she had to go back to work because I can't get work. I can't provide for our family. She had to go back to work. It's not acceptable to me. He goes, I needed something. I saw ACN. I got started. They said, you got to go to the international. He said, I can't, I looked at the flights. It was $1,000. I can't afford $1,000. It was within 5 days. He goes, I can't afford it, but I had a car. He said, well, I guess I got to get in the car, right? And he drove across the country to go to his first international training. Now, can we agree that champions are made at these events? Is that right? This is where everything great in your business happens. This is where the switch goes on. Who feels like even after just the first portion of the day, and trust me, the best is yet to come. With Spencer Hunt and Larry Rasmussen coming up, I tell you what, the best is yet to come. But who could leave here right this second ready to become an SVP in ACN? Okay? So he drives out to the event, right? And I meet him. And it was amazing, and he gets enrolled in the system, and he starts to move forward. Well, over this 2-year period of time, he would drop over 250 pounds, okay? And he attributes that to the personal growth and development in ACN. But most importantly, he started working on an energy account in California. He actually had a contact at what's called the Presidio of Monterey. Presidio of Monterey, 1,900 homes on a private military facility, right here, where he was going to get the facility on all 1,900 homes. That's a nice little package. That's a good customer. I think that's a TC leg, right? 1,900? Okay, joking. Okay. So he's going to get to 1,900, right? So we go do the meeting, goes great. They're like, yeah, this is great. We like what you're doing. Let's do it. Well, then we go back and we turn it over to ACN, and the ACN contacts them, and then they say, well, hold on. We don't have just 1,900 homes. We have 97,000 plus on the coast of California. We'd like to do those. Is that okay? And we're like, yeah, okay, we'll do that. We think that's a good idea, okay? So that's moving forward, right? And now remember, these are just homes. These aren't large commercial. I know in Australia, we have residential and we have small business, and hopefully in the future we'll have some sort of commercial as well. But these are just homes in a package though. So he sees them. They asked him to fly to Dallas to meet with them. And then 2 weeks ago, they asked him to actually fly to the Pentagon, where 2.5 weeks ago, he's actually in the Pentagon for an hour and a half addressing lawmakers about how to put 500,000 homes on ACN's energy. Are you kidding me? Now, does he get the account? I don't know. But let me ask you a question. Is it good to have a chance? Is it great that you're in the game? Is it great that he has the opportunity to offer that? And let me ask you a quick question. If he does not get in that car and drive across that country to get to the event, do you think he's in the game today? No. But here he stands today. He's got this beautiful picture in front of the emblem. I don't know where it goes. I'm working with the company. We'll see what happens. But the bottom line is he's also built an amazing group. He has a huge downline with his organization. And the best part is when you add all that up for all the uplines and RVPs, the amount of money is absolutely a staggering total. That's what Energy Choice is here, guys. We're at the infancy of something amazing. He identified a why that was so powerful that I got a man to get into a car, drive 44 hours across the country to pursue his dreams and ACN. Can that happen for you? Who's ready to make a difference in the Australian energy market? And I don't even know what the next great technology is. Shoot, it might be a 3D holographic wristwatch phone. I don't know. Build a distribution, hope somebody lands a big account, puts it in your organization. The more people in the field, the more opportunity that you have. And I tell you what, my dear, dear friends this afternoon are going to give you information that is going to skyrocket your business, and I can guarantee you this is absolutely, without a doubt, the event that changes everything in Asia Pacific. We can absolutely dominate this industry if we do the job. Can we do that? Can we do that? Awesome. Have a great afternoon. Thank you.